This is a 1 hour a day language learning routine that will make you fluent in a language in 14 months. Now, you've probably tried to learn a language before and basically failed. Whether you quit after a month or two, or you're still going after 5 years, but you don't really feel like you can produce the language confidently, when you come across people who definitely are fluent in their second or third or fourth language, you might feel like a failure and that you're just not a language learning person. But here's the thing. You are a language person because humans are linguistic creatures. We all have the ability to intuitively recognize patterns and recreate those patterns. In short, we all have the ability to learn a language. So the question then becomes, why are other people successful in learning a foreign language if you aren't? And here's the simple truth of it. The people who are successful in learning to speak a foreign language are not doing the same things as you. So in as brief a manner as possible, I'm going to explain what it is that successful language learners do. And if you do this for an hour a day for 14 months, you can have success in a language that you're currently trying to learn beyond what you ever thought was possible. A lot of people don't believe that there is a more efficient way of learning a language because they've tried a lot of different things and all of those things were equally useless, so they get the impression that nothing really works. But think about it. If there are things that work and you cut out the trial and error process and go directly to the things that work, then obviously you're going to learn a language more efficiently. It's like this. Unsuccessful language learners think about language learning completely backwards. They don't just put the horse before the cart, they remove the horse entirely from the equation, unwittingly of course, and then wonder why the cart feels so heavy to push. There are two things that most people have completely backwards in their mind, and once you understand what those things are and how they actually work in completely the opposite way, then you're ready to learn a language properly. If you're going to do this, it will be greatly helpful to have something like a set of short stories or a set of short chapters with all the vocabulary and grammar organized neatly for you, which is exactly what's contained within the story learning courses, which are currently 1/3, yes, 1/3 of their normal price, but only for about a day longer because I was super late making this video. So just check the link in the description and it will tell you if that sale is still going. The story learning courses are perfect for the kind of thing that I'm talking about in this video, and they're currently less than $100 each rather than nearly $300 each. And look, I'll be perfectly honest, for $300, they're okay. Like, you could do worse than spend $300 on them, but for $100, yeah, they're pretty good. I think they're definitely worth that. So like I said, there isn't much time left because I was so late with this video, so you might want to pick one up while you still can, especially if you're going to follow the process that I lay out in this video. That link is in the description. Now, here are the two things that you probably have backwards in your mind. 1, languages are produced subconsciously, not consciously. That is to say, when you speak a language fluently, you are not consciously choosing the words and structures that come out of your mouth. Just like you're not consciously breathing, but it still happens. When you walk, you're not consciously balancing. And speaking is much like breathing and walking. If you can only do it with conscious thought, with deliberateness, then you're not really doing it. 2, comprehending the language is the key to unlock speaking. I've just said that language is produced subconsciously. That means if you can't subconsciously perfectly understand something that is said to you, then you certainly won't be able to produce that effortlessly either. In short, you cannot confidently say what you don't fully and perfectly understand. So this means that first, you're going to want to learn to comprehend. As you learn to comprehend more and more, you'll learn to comprehend more and more subconsciously. Now, this might sound like it would take a very long time, but when all your effort is dedicated to that subconscious comprehension, you can pick it up much faster than you think. In order to learn to comprehend, you're going to listen a lot and study the words and phrases that come from the material that you're listening to. I recommend, if at all possible, to make your learning faster, finding things that have transcripts. For this reason, my go-to is audiobooks. They have perfect written equivalents already because they are literally just books read out loud. Audio means you can hear it, and book means book. I also recommend repeated listening to the same things, and this is something that I repeat on many videos on my channel. I repeat myself about repeated listening because repeated listening is where it's at. It's much easier to understand something deeply and then subconsciously if you know not only what they're talking about now, but what was just said and what they're about to say. And when it comes to audiobooks, you can give yourself a real head start by starting with a translation of a book that you've already read or listened to in your language. I also recommend recommend things that are interesting to you. YouTube videos that are funny or tutorials on a topic that you already know something about or that you're very interested in are always good. If you take something like 3 short chapters of an audiobook or a short podcast and 2 short YouTube videos, that should total about 50 minutes. In 1 month, you can listen to all of those 30 times and have 5 hours left over to target vocabulary and phrases to learn. But even after that 1 month, you won't understand all of it, and that's okay. We have 13 months left. Now you're going to choose new material and do the same thing again for the second month, and the next month, and the next month. And sometime between the second and the 5th month, you should hit a rocket of comprehension, which is exactly what it sounds like. You will just suddenly understand a lot more than you were understanding before. And if then you go back to that first month or the second month and listen to that stuff again, you'll understand it almost perfectly. Now, I said 1 hour a day for 14 months, which is in total 430 hours. And if you spend that efficiently, you will understand and be able to produce quite a lot of the language. But hopefully you find this to be so much more powerful than anything you've done before that you'll just want to do more because it's so effective. If that is the case, do more. If you're enjoying it, you won't burn out by just doing 2 hours a day. If you do 2 hours and 10 minutes a day for the full 14 months, you'll pass 900 hours in total in that time. And in a lot of languages, that is enough to become really quite fluent. For the Duolingo streak holders out there, that is the equivalent of 15 years of 10 minutes a day on Duolingo every single day. And after that long on Duolingo, I'm sure you'll be very confident in saying that my bear likes to wear women's clothes, but you will not be able to produce the language effortlessly and subconsciously. Not going to happen. But I digress. Let's skip forward to the end of 9 months. Now it sounds late in the process, but remember you've still got 5 months or 153 hours to go. 150 hours is plenty of time to turn the subconscious automatic comprehension of the language that you should now have quite robustly into subconscious automatic production, which is what really speaking a language is. A language that you can speak only by first thinking through the vocabulary and the grammar that you need before you can say anything, that isn't a language that you can speak fluently. So now you're going to find sentences from all the videos and the stuff that you've been listening to and reading, or new material if you like, and you're going to choose 8 sentences a day. You're going to repeat those sentences as best you can in the exact same way that the native speaker from the material that you took them from said them. Focus most on the pronunciation and the accent. Don't just try to say the sentences. Try to perform them like you're doing an impression, and repeat each sentence 20 times, which should take about 4 minutes per sentence, which means spending about 30 minutes a day doing this, which will be very hard, I'm not going to lie, but your production in the language will skyrocket. You're practicing turning words and grammar that you already understand into movements that your mouth makes. For the other 30 minutes, you'll continue to listen to the language, but now to more varied material, because you will understand so much of what you hear anyway. After 1 month of doing this, you'll double the number of sentences that you practice, but you'll halve the number of reps to 10. That means by the end of this month, which is the 11th month, you'll then have practiced saying 730 sentences. So with 3 months to go, you'll automatically or subconsciously understand a majority of what you hear, depending a little bit on the language, because you'll have developed a robust subconscious model of the language. So now it is time to start putting the meanings that you want to convey into the language. How you start off doing this is a little bit of a preference. You might wish to start by writing, but if you do so, be careful not to overthink it too much. Just get your thoughts onto the page. Personally, I prefer to book a lesson on something like italki, or finding a friend who is a native speaker of that language and speaking to them. Bear in mind that despite what should be a fluency in comprehension of the language and significant speaking practice, turning your own meaning into the language is always a bit clunky in the beginning. However, you still have around 90 hours left to practice this, and ideally, I'd break that into 2 30-minute chunks every day and take a break from speaking at all every 3 to 4 days. On those days, I wouldn't even focus particularly hard on listening to the language, I'd just do a bit more passive listening. Now, I know that's counterintuitive, but I have personally discovered that more advanced, complex, and fluid thoughts are able to be formed in the language more quickly and produced more fluently when I have regular breaks from speaking that language. In the scientific research around developing skills, this is normally called post-practice improvement. And also, ideally, I wouldn't stop the 1 hour a day of listening even on the days that you're doing your 1 hour of speaking. But by now, it's not as if you need to give that listening an hour of your day, because you'll understand it quite well by this point, so you can be doing other things at the same time. And remember, always do more if possible. If you can do 2 hours, do 2. If you can do 3 hours, do 3. The goal is to promote the language as part of your subconscious process. The more that it's in your life, and particularly in the background of your life, the better. So we come to the end of 14 months and you'll have done at least 430 hours of genuine language learning, actually properly familiarizing yourself with the language, not pressing buttons on an app, not writing the endings of verbs into conjugation tables, real language learning that uses the real language to do it. And hopefully, if you're spurred on by the results, you'll have done something more like 600, 700, or 900 hours. And although I'll admit that, yes, this is YouTube and the title of this video is a YouTube video title, so I cannot promise you full fluency in the language, because that seems to have a different definition for everyone, and some of the people who are most ready to claim fluency of themselves are the ones who should be the least ready to use that term. So although all that stuff that I just said, I can promise you that if you really do this, you will know a feeling of familiarity and comprehension in the language that you currently, watching this video, did not think possible. So fluency may be an elastic term, but if you really do this, I think that native speakers of the language you want to learn will probably think that you're much more fluent than you currently believe you can ever get to. That is, they will think you are very fluent. And even if you don't feel fully fluent, you will know the next steps that you need to take to reach that next level. Chances are that if you watched this far through this video, you are currently in a state of wishing that you could speak that target language, right? Wishing about it. And I'm telling you that you don't need to wish. You can do it if you just put in the hours. Remember, there are good learning resources at a third of their normal price using the link in the description. I hope you got something out of this video, and I wish you the very best of luck. Lo quiero.